Nathan Drake was elbow-deep in a cargo manifest when his past walked into the freight bay. 15 years. 15 years since he'd left the war behind, taken his discharge, and deliberately disappeared into the anonymous work of moving goods across stations. 15 years of keeping his head down, his history quiet, his life small and contained. Then she stopped in the middle of the bay, her security detail continuing forward before realizing their charge was no longer with them. Tall, elegant, pointed ears rising through dark hair, luminescent markings along her temples pulsing with soft light, the distinctive features of Keltharian royalty. And those eyes, Nathan knew those eyes. "Do you still remember me, human?" Her voice carried across the bay, formal, controlled, but trembling slightly with something underneath. Recognition slammed into Nathan like artillery fire. Memories he'd spent 15 years burying erupted. Smoke and fire, screams, the weight of a wounded girl in his arms, violet blood soaking his uniform, 3 miles through hell carrying someone who should have been his enemy. Telmar Ridge, the massacre, the Keltharian princess he'd pulled from burning rubble. "Princess Lirien," he said quietly. The name surfaced from memory like a drowning victim breaking surface. "I remember." Her security detail tensed as she waved them back, approaching Nathan alone. Up close, he could see the years on her face, not age exactly. Keltharians lived longer than humans, but experience. Weight, the softness of youth replaced by the hardness of command. 15 years, she said. "I have searched for you for 15 years, and I find you here, moving cargo crates on a nowhere station? No condemnation, just profound confusion and something that might be disappointment or relief." Nathan didn't know how to explain that after the war, he couldn't go back to who he'd been. That saving one life while watching thousands die had broken something fundamental. That obscurity was choice, not failure. "We need to talk," Lirien said. "Privately, there are things you don't know about that day, about what your actions set in motion." The memories kept coming. Her voice, speaking his name in delirium while he ran through bombardment, the weight of her body growing heavier with each mile. The moment he'd handed her to the medics and been pulled back to his unit, never learning if she'd survived. He'd carried that question through the rest of the war, wondering if the girl with luminescent markings had lived or if he'd just delayed her death by hours. Now she stood before him, powerful and alive and somehow still familiar despite everything time had changed. "I have a shift." "Crown Princess of the Keltharian Empire," Lirien interrupted gently. "Your shift can wait. Please, Nathan Drake, I've looked for you too long to let you slip away again." Nathan glanced at his supervisor, who'd gone pale recognizing Keltharian royalty in his freight bay. The man nodded frantically. "Lead the way, Your Highness." The private lounge Lirien's status granted access to was elegant in the minimal way of neutral stations, comfortable without showing allegiance to any particular species' aesthetic. Security checked it thoroughly, then left them alone. Lirien sat with the grace of someone trained since childhood in perfect posture. Nathan sat like a freight worker taking an unexpected break. "You're crown princess now," he said. "Last I heard, you had an older brother. He died in the war's final year, leading an assault on a human colony." Her voice stayed level. "Which made me heir. I'm sorry." "So am I," she studied him. "You look different. Older, obviously, tired, like you've been hiding." "I have been hiding? Why?" Nathan considered how to answer. "After the war, I couldn't reconcile the person who saved lives with the medic who watched patients die because supplies ran out, who made triage decisions about who got treatment and who didn't, who saved one princess and lost dozens of soldiers in the same week. He met her eyes. So I left, found work that doesn't require those choices." Lirien absorbed this. "You saved my life, Nathan, not just physically. Did you know I was there negotiating peace, against my father's orders? I didn't know anything except you were wounded and I was a medic. I was part of a diplomatic mission. Young, idealistic, convinced I could end the war if I just met with human forces directly." Her markings pulsed brighter, emotion breaking through control. "The attack that nearly killed me wasn't random. It was an assassination attempt by Keltharian hardliners who wanted the war to continue. They tipped off your forces, knowing you'd strike." Nathan felt cold. "We killed their own princess for them. Almost, you disrupted that plan by getting me out alive." Lirien leaned forward. Your actions didn't just save a life, you saved the possibility of peace. I survived, recovered, and used your example, a human medic saving an enemy princess, as foundation for the peace faction that eventually ended the war. I'm not a symbol. I was doing my job. Your motivations don't matter. The impact did. You became a story, Nathan, the human who risked everything to save someone from the species he was fighting. That story gave people permission to imagine peace. Nathan wanted to reject this, but memory flooded back, those 3 miles carrying her, the impossible weight, the way she drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes speaking his name in Keltharian accented English, sometimes silent. What do you remember? Lirien asked softly. About carrying me? Everything, the weight of you, the smell of smoke and blood, violet blood which surprised me, the sound of artillery, 3 miles that felt like 300. He paused. You spoke my name. I didn't understand how you knew it. I was conscious enough to hear you talking to me, telling me to stay awake, promising we'd get to safety. You never asked who I was, just treated me as a patient who needed help. That was my job, treat the wounded, period. And after you handed me to the medics, got pulled back to my unit, never learned if you survived. Nathan's voice went rough. Wondered about it for years, the girl with the luminescent markings, whether I'd saved her or just delayed her death. Lirien's composure cracked slightly. I wanted to find you after the war, to thank you, but you disappeared. No forwarding address, like you'd vanished deliberately. I did vanish deliberately, that after the war I couldn't be that person anymore, the one who made life and death decisions. So I chose work where the worst consequence of a mistake is a delayed shipment. You saved my life, helped end a war, and chose obscurity. I did my job and tried to forget. In that order. They sat in silence, bound by shared history and completely different understandings of what it meant. Lirien didn't leave Crossroads Station on schedule. She extended her stay, arranging meetings with Nathan under various pretexts. They fell into a pattern, conversations that started formal and drifted personal. She told him about the pressure of leadership, the weight of expectations, the loneliness of power where everyone wanted something, alliance, favor, access, where genuine connection was nearly impossible because calculation poisoned everything. He told her about choosing obscurity deliberately, about the uniform with her violet blood still on it, stored in a locker he never opened, about nightmares where he ran through fire carrying people who died anyway. On the 5th day, over bad station coffee, Nathan asked, "Why does this matter so much? You've thanked me. Explain the impact. What more do you need?" Lirien's composure shattered. Because you're the only person in my life who saw me at my most vulnerable and helped without calculating advantage. 15 years of leadership means everyone around me wants something. But you wanted nothing. You just helped because someone needed help. Her markings pulsed rapidly. Do you understand how rare that is? How much I need someone who doesn't want anything from me? The confession hung between them. This wasn't about gratitude. Lirien was lonely in ways power magnified, and Nathan represented genuine connection, someone who knew her before she became crown princess, whose actions had no ulterior motive. Nathan understood because he was lonely too. Hiding in obscurity because it was safer than risking connection with people who'd ask about his past or expect him to be more than freight worker. Before either could respond, alarms blared. Security locked down the lounge as explosions echoed from the corridor. Assassination attempt, Lirien's head of security burst in. Keltharian hardliners, they're targeting the crown princess. Nathan moved without thinking. Combat instincts overrode 15 years of deliberate calm. He assessed exits, grabbed Lirien, moved her toward the emergency maintenance access he'd memorized from working the station. Nathan, stay low, follow me, trust me. Just like Telmar Ridge, him protecting her, her trusting him completely, the same desperate determination to get her through alive. They reached the maintenance corridors, tight, poorly lit, designed for station workers. Nathan navigated by memory, while Lirien's security dealt with attackers in the main corridors. 20 minutes that felt like 20 hours before they reached a secure docking bay where Lirien's ship waited. Security swept the area. All clear, danger past. Except this time, Lirien didn't go unconscious or get evacuated immediately. She stayed with him, both shaking with adrenaline and recognition. "It's happening again," she said. Yeah, you saved me again. Yeah. Nathan, I can't keep almost dying around you. He laughed, actual laughter, rough and unexpected. Then maybe stop putting yourself in situations where people try to kill you. I'm Crown Princess. People trying to kill me is occupational hazard. She gripped his arm. Come with me to Keltharian space, not as symbol or hero, as someone I trust, someone whose presence reminds me why peace was worth choosing. Nathan started to refuse automatically, then stopped. The bond forged 15 years ago wasn't historical memory. It was living connection that never ended. He'd just proven that by moving without thought to protect her. I need time to think. I'll grant it. But Nathan, I'm not asking you to be a hero. I'm asking you to be my friend, someone real in a world of performance. Nathan made his decision 2 days later. He accepted with conditions. Personal employment, not government. Free to leave if he became propaganda. Honest work, not heroic mythology. Lirien agreed immediately, relief visible in her brightening markings. The transition was jarring. Moving from Crossroads Station to the Keltharian capital, adapting to a world where he was known by reputation, but not by identity. He worked with Lirien's security, applying combat medic experience to protection protocols. But more importantly, he became what she asked for: genuine presence. Someone who challenged her, didn't perform deference, remembered her as the wounded girl who spoke his name while dying. Their relationship deepened, working daily together, moving beyond reunion into partnership. Nathan saw the crushing pressures she handled: fractious court, diplomatic negotiations, preparation to inherit a throne. She was brilliant and exhausted, powerful and trapped. And Nathan provided what her position denied: honest feedback without agenda. He told her when she was wrong, challenged assumptions, refused to defer just because she was royalty. Lirien, surrounded by people performing loyalty or calculating advantage, found something precious in Nathan, someone who treated her as person rather than title. The feelings that developed were complicated. Not simple romance, though that dimension existed, but something deeper. Two people shaped by trauma, connected by history, learning their bond was both burden and gift. Nathan still carried guilt. Lirien still woke from Telmar Ridge nightmares. But they helped each other through difficult moments, his steady presence calming her panic, her understanding helping him process war guilt. Months passed. Peace held. Nathan settled into purpose he'd thought lost. Then came the ceremony confirming Lirien as crown princess and heir. Massive event, broadcast across Keltharian space and to human worlds. During the ceremony, Lirien did something unprecedented. She publicly acknowledged Nathan, telling the Telmar Ridge story for the first time, not as propaganda, but as honest history. She named him, thanked him, explained how his actions shaped her commitment to peace. Then she asked him to stand beside her as honored friend, whose courage exemplified what peace requires. Willingness to help even when difficult, even when the person needing help is supposed to be your enemy. Nathan stood beside her, uncomfortable with attention, but understanding why this mattered. The ceremony made their connection official. Afterward, in private quarters, Lirien asked, "Do you regret it, saving me that day?" Nathan considered. "I regret the war, every patient I lost. That saving one life required 3 miles through hell." He paused. "But no, I don't regret saving you. Even knowing it would lead here, I'd make the same choice." "Why?" "Because you were dying and I could help, that's enough." Lirien smiled, markings brightening. "That's why I searched for 15 years. That's why I need you here. Because you're the one simple, genuine thing in my complicated life. The person who helps because someone needs help." They stood at the palace window, looking over the capital, two beings from different worlds bound by crisis and choices made since. Nathan came expecting to fulfill a debt. Instead, he found purpose, connection, someone whose life was so